This is the Washington Times front page for Tuesday, February 21st, 2023. Thanks for joining us. I'm George Gerbo. The biggest mystery facing Ukraine, the U.S., and the world isn't quantitative, but psychological. What does Russian President Vladimir Putin want, and how far is he prepared to go to get it? That's one of the questions our Guy Taylor and Ben Wolfgang dive into in No End in Sight, the first of a three-part series looking at the year of war since Russia invaded Ukraine and what's to come. More than 7,100 Ukrainian civilians have been killed, nearly 500 of them children. Some 40,000 homes and apartments, 2,700 school structures, and at least 1,200 medical facilities have also been destroyed. Roughly 6.5 million people, mostly women and children, have been driven from their homes, according to Ukrainian and international officials. Nearly 8 million Ukrainians now live across Europe as refugees. European Union Ambassador to the United States Stavros Lambrinidis says the West must not lose sight of the conflict's broader geopolitical stakes. He told Guy that Putin's prestige and power would have soared last year if the U.S. and Europe had not rallied together and helped Ukrainian forces resist Russia's initial onslaught. Backed by Western money and arms, Ukraine subsequently managed to retake territory with counteroffensives, and both sides are reportedly gearing up for new offensives this spring. The EU's 27 member nations have collectively committed roughly $73 billion in financial, military, and humanitarian assistance to Ukraine. That's notably less than the roughly $115 billion committed by the United States. The Congressional Budget Office says inflation over the past year has tilted Social Security's finances further out of whack, speeding up its funding exhaustion date. Under current law, Stephen Dinan reports the government can pay out only what comes in through payroll taxes if the fund is exhausted. The CBO figures the tax revenue will cover only 80% of each check. Social Security has been running a cash flow deficit since 2021. It's been dipping into its main trust fund since then, putting it on track for exhaustion in 2033. You can read all of these stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page. You can also find the entire lineup of Washington Times podcasts at WashingtonTimes.com/podcasts. Teachers are receiving significant pay raises from Republican governors who also, in some cases, are letting parents use their tax dollars for private schools. In Arkansas, Susan Ferricchio reports Republican Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders announced a proposal this month to boost annual minimum teacher salaries from $36,000 to $50,000. The plan would also provide $2,000 pay raises to veteran teachers who are already earning $50,000 or more. Also this month, Utah Republican Governor Spencer Cox signed a bill that gives public school teachers a $6,000 pay increase. The same measure gives qualifying parents $8,000 to cover the cost of private school if they choose to leave the public school system. Governors in Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, and other states have also moved to do the same. And finally, more schools are debating whether America's founding goes back to Independence Day in 1776 or to the first Africans who faced slavery in Virginia in 1619. Sean Salai reports some teachers have adopted or are reviewing the conservative Hillsdale College's 1776 curriculum as an alternative to the New York Times' 1619 Project. The 1619 Project re-examined the founding of the nation with slavery at its center. The 1776 curriculum says the U.S. is an exceptionally good country, while teaching that progressivism conflicts with the nation's founding ideals. Some historians said Hillsdale's curriculum distorts the nation's founding from the other side of the ideological fence. Find all of today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page or on the Washington Times app, and find us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Washington Times in any major podcast app. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at WashTimes for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. For the Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.